So let's get started. We're going to start by making a slip knot and popping that onto our crochet hook. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to chain 6. So you simply yarn over, pull through for a chain, and we're going to do that 6 times. So that's number 1, chain number 2, 3, 4, 5, and chain number 6. We're then going to treble crochet in UK terms or double crochet in US terms in the 4th chain from the hook. So this is chain number 1 directly underneath your hook, chain number 2, chain number 3, we have 4, 5 and 6. And we're going to treble crochet into that 4th chain. Now because I've put my finger in there it's a little bit bigger. You can count it whichever way is easier, so it's 3rd from the beginning or 4th down, so 4th chain from hook. We're going to yarn over, ready to treble crochet, so 1, 2, 3, and we're going to insert our hook into that 4th chain. Going to yarn over, bring a loop up, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then we're going to work another treble crochet into the 2 remaining stitches. So 1 treble crochet into that one, and then a 3rd treble crochet into that last remaining chain. So what we have here is our first corner to corner block. So this would be row 1. We've got that original 3 unworked chains, 1 treble crochet, 2 treble crochet, 3 treble crochets, or doubles, depending on your persuasion. And then we're going to move on to row 2. So we start by chaining 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now I'm going to turn this, you can see it's directly that way. I want my chain to be above my tail yarn in this instance, and we're going to repeat exactly what we did before. So we're going to yarn over the hook, and then we're going to place a treble crochet into the 4th chain from the hook. So 1, 2, 3, there's number 4. Going to place a treble crochet into that chain there, and then we're going to work a treble crochet into each of the remaining chains. That's number 2, and that's number 3. And once again we've created a block. Oops. If you get a bit twiddled and all that kind of stuff, don't worry, just make sure that your tail yarn is at the bottom. So it should look a little bit like that. You've got your tail towards your hook hand, your hook holding hand, and because what we're going to do is we're going to slip stitch into that space between that chain 3 from the first round. So making sure your tail yarn is towards your hook, insert your hook, bring the working yarn through and straight through the loop on your hook, and that joins those 2 together. So then you've got like a bit of a square. We're still on row 2, so we're going to place, this is block number 1 here on row 2, and we're going to place block number 2 here. So we start by chaining 3, and that counts as a treble crochet, and then we're going to place a further 3 treble crochets into that same space that we slip stitched into. That's number 2 and number 3. And what you should have is something that looks a little bit like a heart. So we've got block number 1 where the tail yarn is, that was our first row, and then row 2 has 2 blocks. So hopefully you've got a little heart looking thing, and we're going to go into row 3. You can guess what we're going to do. We are going to chain 6 first of all. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Once again we're going to yarn over and treble crochet into the 4th chain from the hook, double crochet, sorry, for your US terms of course, and then place a further treble crochet in the 2 remaining chains. And there's the last one. So in each block, you should have 3 treble crochets and a chain 3. So once again, we're making sure that our tail yarn is towards our hook. We're going to slip stitch into that space. So that's the chain 3 from the previous row. I'm going to slip stitch into there to join that block onto the top of that one. And then we're going to chain 3 and work 3 further treble crochets into that space. So now we have block number 1, block number 2, and again we need to join this block to the top of this one. So on that last block here, we're going to slip stitch to join into that other space. So we're looking like this now. And once again, we're going to chain 3 and add another block in. So we're going to place 3 further treble crochets into that space. So now you can see row 3, 1, 2, 3 blocks. So literally each time that we're increasing, as in we're keeping it balanced and there's the same number of blocks on each side. So you can count your rows, always start counting from where your tail yarn is. So 1, 2, 3, and we're on row 3. You can count it either way. You've got 3 rows that side as well. So whilst we're increasing our number of blocks, we're always going to chain 3. So chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. My yarn just split. No. And then we're going to place a treble crochet into the 4th chain from the hook. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then into the remaining 2 chains as well, we place a further treble crochet. Oops, I thought that twisted while I was messing around there. There we go. So again, we want to make sure that our tail is towards our hand because we're going to slip stitch into this space here. So it looks like it's going the wrong way, but when we join it, it's going to stack it on top of that block there. So if yours is looking like that, it's wrong. We need to be making sure that we've turned our work and the tail is towards your hand, not at this end. So once you've done your first block, you've got your chain 3 and you've worked into that 4th chain from hook, placing a treble crochet into each of those chains. We're going to stack that block on top simply by slip stitching into that space there, and that stacks it on top. For the blocks in between on the row, we do a chain 3, which counts as 1 treble crochet, and then we place a further 3 treble crochets into the same space that we just slip stitched into, and that creates our block. So every single block has a chain 3 and 3 treble crochets. So we need to join that block onto that one there. So we're going to find that space, slip stitch into there to stack those blocks, and then place a normal block, which is a chain 3. And again, we're going to place further 3 treble crochets into the same space we just slip stitched into. And number 3. Fabulous. And again, we need to attach these blocks. So we're going to slip stitch into that block there. So final block to add on, because we can see we're on row 4. We've got 1, 2, 3. We need another one here. So we're going to chain 3. That's number 2 and number 3. And again, 3 further treble crochets into that same space. So at the end of row 4, you should have something looking maybe a little bit prettier than this one for your corner to corner. So again, regardless of which way you count, if you're on row 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So we've now got 4 blocks on row 4. We're going to do row 5 together as well. So because we are increasing, so we're continuing to make our piece of work wider, we're always going to start with a chain 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. If your work twiddles around a little bit, don't worry too much. We're going to work the chain first, okay? So we're going to count down, I'm going to yarn over because I always like to do that first, and count down to chain number 4, and that's where we're going to place that treble crochet. And then a further treble crochet in the other 2 stitches, chains, sorry. There we go. So this is when we need to make sure we're facing the right way. So we want our tail towards the hand that holds our hook, and then we're going to slip stitch to stack this block. Show you that again. That's flapping around. We're going to slip stitch to stack it on top of row 4, and then we're back to our normal blocks. So we do a chain 3, and then we are going to place 3 treble crochets, double crochets, into the same space we slip stitched into. Sorry, my wool is pulling a piece of paper. That's never a nice sound. And then we need to stack that on top of there. So we're going to slip stitch to join and place another block. So we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. 3 treble crochets into that same space that we just slip stitched into. Oops. You can fold that lot out of the way if you need to, because sometimes my hook gets a bit happy and grabs the other stitches it shouldn't be. So once we've got our chain 3 and our 3 trebles, we're going to join that onto that block there with a slip stitch, chain 3, chain 3, 3 treble crochets. Sorry, forgot to talk then. And again, we're just going to stack that on top of there. Oops. Do a chain. Oh, did I? No, I didn't. I double crocheted. Sorry, 1 second. See, nobody's perfect. So we slip stitch to join, and then we chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Before we do, I'm going to just kind of get you to double check. If you know which row number you're on and you're moving across and you can only see, you've only got 1, 2, 3, 4, we need to place number 5 on to finish row 5. It's kind of the easiest way of counting them. So you do chain 3 and 3 treble crochets. So you can continue in this manner for as long as you want. So it will, your piece of work will continue to grow outwards. If you're doing a blanket, you can just continue to keep going. But at some point, you're going to want to start bringing it in for the other side of the corner. So there's one way of reducing the number that you have, but there's also a step in between, which you will learn if you go ahead and follow my corner to corner cowl crochet pattern. I'll pop a link in the description box for you, and that will show you how to create that flat edge to do a longer length scarf. But say for instance you just wanted to do a nice big square blanket, this is how you would do it. So what we're going to do now is learn how to create a flat edge without increasing. So we're going to continue to increase on one side of our project, but not on both. So to do that, we're simply going to chain 1 and turn, and we're going to slip stitch across the 3 treble crochets we made in the previous row. So you simply just pull through and pull through the yarn on your hook. So that's 1, 2, and this is number 3. And then we're going to slip stitch into the chain, the space where the chain 3 was, and just slip stitch. And then we can begin our row as we would normally. we only need to do a chain 3 for our normal block. 1, 2, 3, and then we carry on with our 3 treble crochets to build the block. So that's 2 and 3. So when we slip stitch to stack this on top of here, as we do normally, what you'll see is that we have created a flat edge. It will be flat, I promise you, once you work on the other side. So from this point here, we've slip stitched into this block here. So what we're going to do is a normal block, which is just a chain 3, 2 and 3. Place 3 treble crochets, 1, 2 and 3. Slip stitch to stack these blocks. Pull those out of the way. Chain 3, because it's just a normal block. And number 3. We're going to slip stitch to stack that row on top of the other. Chain 3. Again, we're going to work into that space with 3 treble crochets. We're going to slip stitch again to stack on top of here and place the final block on this row. Oops. Number 3. There we are. So take my hook out for a moment so we can have a little look to see what we've produced. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Because we didn't increase on the edge here, we just we slip stitched across and then did a chain 3. We didn't add the chain 6 needed to add another block on there. So we've just created 5. So the same, when you stop increasing, your stitch or your block count will remain the same. So we've still got 5 blocks on row 6. So going into row 7, oops, I could find my loop, that would help. We are going to increase on this side. So this is when it will really become obvious where you're increasing and where you're not, because we're going to chain 6 on row 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. And once again, we're going to treble crochet into the 4th chain from the hook, as we were before. So making sure that your tail end is towards your hook hand, we are going to slip stitch to join this block on top of here. And then as normal, we do our normal block, we chain 3, and working into that chain space, we place 3 treble crochets. Oops. Again, just stack on top. So slip stitch to join, chain 3, 3 treble crochets, all the way across as normal. So the only thing that's changed is what we do at the start of the rows. So it's just knowing at what point in your pattern you are, so that you can make sure that you, nearly missed one, so you can make sure, oops, that you know which row number you're on and how to count them. For me, they're the most important things. Counting prevents the majority of mistakes. It really does. Again, just going to stack the whole way along. Oops, that's why I fold mine out of the way. My hook likes to grab everything. There we go. So now we've reached this final one here. So we're just going to slip stitch to join and have a little look. Because looking is the most important thing. Because as you can see, this is our flatter edge. This is our taller edge. And this is where it's very easy to make a mistake. You could think you need to add another block on. But just as we did on the other side, the previous row on row 6, we're going to chain 1 and turn and slip stitch across again. So just slip stitch across the top of those treble crochets. So 1, 2, and 3, and slip stitch into that chain space. And then we're going to carry on as normal, building our blocks. So we do the chain 3. And then in the same chain space there, we're going to place 3 treble crochets. Slip stitch to join the blocks on top, chain 3, two, and 3, slip stitch to build those blocks together, 1, 2, 3, 3 treble crochets, slip stitch again, 3 treble crochets. Just going to fold that out of the way. And then on this one, we do want to build that extra block on. And how do I know? Because from this flat edge here, we can count our blocks. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We know that we have 5 blocks on each row, so I need to place another. So we just chain 3 and do our normal block on top for block number 5. That would be the same if you were following any crochet pattern. You just make sure that you're putting the right number of blocks on. Number 3. There we go. So if we have a look at this now, it becomes a bit more obvious which side we're increasing on and which side we're not. So this flat edge that's lower, we are not increasing on. For me, I usually make it the side with the tail on that I'm increasing, but not all patterns will be the same. Just I find it easier to follow myself then. So from here, we're going to learn the final part, and that is when we're going to bring these 2 edges together so that we can finish off this little sample here. So if we go through what we've learned so far, we know that if we're increasing and we're continuing to make this a longer project, we would do a chain 6, and that would continue to grow the project. On the side that we want a flat edge, once we're ready to go flat, we turn and slip stitch across those 3 and into that chain space. And then we just build as normal. For this instance, what we're looking to do is decrease again. So the way we've been doing these flat side here, we now want to put a flat edge across the top so that we can, in this case, rectangular off instead of square off our project. So we're going to do the chain 1. And we're going to slip stitch across the top, just as we did on the other side, to create that flat edge. So we slip stitch across those 3 treble crochets and then slip stitch into the same chain space. Then we can build our blocks. So chain 3, 3 treble crochets, we're going to attach that by creating a slip stitch into that next block. I did chain 3, I'd forgotten I'd done that then, sorry, stopped talking again, don't know why. 1, 2, and 3, slip stitch to join, chain 3, Again, working into that chain space there. And then slip stitch again. And then 3 treble crochets after our chain 3. Slip stitch to join. So we have reached the edge. So I'm just going to stop there for a moment and show you. So now we have, this is our decreasing edge that we originally started, and now we're flattening out this edge here too. So we're going to keep, let's not get that tangled. So on this side we're doing exactly the same as we did before. We don't need to build another block because on this row we only want 4 blocks because we've decreased by not adding a block on the top. So we're going to chain 1 and slip stitch across the top because we're not increasing. So we just need to slip stitch across the top. 1, 2, and 3. And then slip stitch into that space there. So there we go. Then we're ready to build. So we've gone from 5 down to 4. So this row will now only have 3 blocks on it. Slip stitch to join. Oh, I missed. Slip stitch to join. Chain 3. Again, we're working into that space there. Oh, yarn over for a treble crochet. 2 and 3. We're going to slip stitch to join. Chain 3. 3 treble crochets. We've come to a flat edge, so we're just going to slip stitch to join and count our blocks. 1, 2, and 3. So yes, we seem to be having a flat edge here, a nice flat edge here. We're going to chain 1 and turn, and we are simply going to slip stitch across the top. Oops. 3 times across those trebles, and then slip stitch into that chain space. Ready to build 2 blocks. So 1, 2, 3, 3 treble crochets. We are simply then going to slip stitch to join another block. So chain 3, 3 treble crochets. We have a flat edge, so we are simply going to slip stitch to join. We've got those 2 blocks there. I'm just going to show you how to straighten it out a bit. Give it a gentle tug and all the chains right in themselves. Oops. Still got a nice flat edge there as well. Fabulous. So we need to chain 1 and turn. So we are on the last row here. So we're just going to slip stitch across the top again, and we're just going to place 1 final block to finish our little practice piece here. Slip stitch into that chain space as well. 1, 2, 3, 3 treble crochets, and 3. Going to slip stitch to join, and there we have it. Now I do have my scissors here, so I am going to cut this and just pull that through to secure, and there we have a very plain piece of corner to corner crochet. and it's quite a fabulous texture. You can use this in so many different projects. In fact, I'm going to link below my very own corner to corner cowl, which is a fabulous little neck warmer made using, I use a wool and acrylic mix to really make it snuggly. Because it shows up the colours beautifully. If you're using a variegated yarn or even just a plain yarn, you get to see all this texture as well. So I really hope you've enjoyed this tutorial today. If you have, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button along with a notification bell so that you never miss out on another one of my free crochet tutorials again. See you again soon.